So after playing a few hours of Elden Ring, I wanted to share my initial thoughts and impressions of the game before diving even deeper into it. Obviously, it's a very large game. There's going to be a lot to do. It's going to take probably a long time to beat. And even if you beat the main kind of, I guess, story, if you will, from what it seems like, there is a ton of side bosses. I've read somewhere that someone posted on Twitter something like 55 bosses so far they had completed, which is absolutely insane. I don't think you need to beat that many bosses for the actual, main story to complete the game per se. I just think that the world is scattered with all of these bosses that are kind of additional, if you will. Again, I'm not too far into the game. I'm only a few hours in, but with a few hours in, so far, again, I wanted to kind of share my initial thoughts and impressions because I think doing a full-blown review is probably going to take a little bit of time. I would like to do that here on the channel, just kind of share my own personal review once I actually do, make my way through the game. But being a newcomer to the series, I wanted to obviously, take as much time as I can, learn the mechanics and all that good stuff. Now, if you don't know, I did play a few hours of Demon's Souls Remake on PS5. I recorded like 3 episodes of that here on the channel when the PS5 first came out. I had a lot of fun with it, but it seemed very daunting, and there was a kind of a steep learning curve for someone like me at first, and I was a little bit overwhelmed, and so I kind of fell off of that. I played maybe 5 hours total, 4 or 5. And then I never really played it anymore. So I still consider myself a newcomer to the series. Now with Elden Ring, I've actually already played for 7 hours. Now, I know a lot of you guys who have been around the channel probably saying, hey, well, we've seen that you posted an hour and a half of gameplay. Where does this other like 6 hours come from? Let me explain that. First, I guess to quickly explain where I've been the past couple days, ever since posting that part 1 of my Elden Ring playthrough, hadn't been feeling too great the past couple days, and so I wasn't able to continue it that initial day on launch day on the 25th of February. And then on the 26th, I still wasn't feeling great. And it was also my birthday. So I was spending time with my family, my kids, my wife, and whatnot, and just kind of, chilling and spending some good quality time with the family, right? So that's why I didn't really touch it at all on that day either. And like I said, a mixture of that and health has been kind of up and down. If you follow me on Twitter, you probably have seen, some of my updates regarding that. It's been a long time thing with that. I'm not going to get into that because that's not what this video is about. But that's kind of why I didn't really post any more kind of episodes per se, or stream it or anything like that. But I did dive into it a little bit, kind of in a side sense. Since it is an open world, I figured, well, hey, what I could do is find some like rune farming spots, which I found a great one that you can farm very easily. I actually have a little guide up on my channel already if you guys are interested in that. But the point being is I spent all this time basically farming runes, trying to get my character a little bit more beefed up, trying to understand the game a little bit more, the gameplay mechanics. I've just been kind of going around the world, exploring it a little bit, trying not to trigger any major cutscenes. There was like one I accidentally triggered, which is when early in the game, and I'm not going to spoil it too much, but when you're sitting by the campfire and you finally learn the ability to level up your character, I didn't realize I was just going to trigger randomly. I thought I had to actually, go to the next location or objective, if you will, in order for, story stuff to continue. So there is that, unfortunately, that I didn't get to capture on footage. But that said, again, I just spent the time trying to, figure out, how do you upgrade the character properly? How do you get, resources to upgrade your, everything else, like your spirit summons, for example. I watched this really fantastic guide up on YouTube that explained a little bit of how to beef up your character early game, and how the gameplay mechanics goes with how to beef up your weapons and your spirits and all that good stuff. So that's kind of what I've been doing, just kind of little random side stuff, not really anything story related for the most part. And so that's how I ended up sinking another 6 hours after my initial hour and a half gameplay that I already posted up on the channel. Now again, I didn't do anything like bosses or anything like that. I'm saving that for my actual playthrough when I post that on my channel, because I want to be able to capture that obviously on footage and everything else story related. So everything I've done has just been to kind of, explore a little bit more of the map and collect resources and try to beef up my character a little bit more. So that's been my main focus, and that's what I've been doing for the most part. And even though I haven't yet defeated any bosses, I did tackle on a couple of bosses just for fun in the first part that I posted on my video, or on my channel rather. And they're pretty crazy, man. They're pretty intense, just like in the Demon's Souls remake. And I'm assuming that every Souls game is probably like this. You can correct me if I'm wrong, where, at the very, very beginning of the game, you are faced with a boss, right, that you most likely probably won't beat. Most people won't. but there is a chance to beat it, and if you do beat it, you probably get some good rewards. Now, I didn't beat it, but I think I held my own pretty well. You guys can see the gameplay up on the channel already. And once you guys basically, you know, whether you defeat it or not, that's when it kind of progresses the story and the game sort of begins, right? You're kind of introduced with this massive world pretty early into the game, you know, maybe like what, 15-20 minutes into the game, not calculating, of course, the time that it takes you to create your character, obviously, but you're just kind of launched into this open world. And a lot of people were comparing in the reviews, or kind of throwing the Breath of the Wild comparison out there, not because of difficulty or anything, but just in terms of how the open world feels. And I understand that completely now. Obviously, they're two very, very different kind of games, but it kind of takes that Breath of the Wild, you know, vibe, if you will, if you played the game, and applies a Souls formula to it. And that kind of creates this really crazy world, in my opinion. Again, I'm only a few hours into the game, but I've already kind of felt like this is really something, you know, unique. And I think that also makes it very welcoming for newcomers like me, people that are not really that familiar with Souls games, you know, that are not that well versed with these games. I think that makes it a lot, not easier, but easier for, you know, again, a newcomer to get into it and kind of get accustomed to it. I've seen some friends even that are, you know, have never really played Souls games, and even they have been sticking with it a little bit longer than they have with, you know, past games like Demon Souls Remake. A lot of them tried Demon Souls Remake when, you know, the PS5 came out, for example, and although they had fun with it, they kind of fell off it. I think a lot of people are going to be sticking with this one. I mean, I can't predict the future, but I think myself included that I really see myself being able to actually finish this game. And if so, I would like to go back and finish Demon Souls Remake on the PS5 as well. But again, there's just some mechanics that really help. I think there's a few different things. The open world, I think, makes it a lot more, you know, welcoming for newcomers. So again, if you're someone watching this video that is like, I don't know if I should play this game, and you want to see what another newcomer thinks, I think that you may enjoy it. Now, obviously, this game might not be for everybody. It's still a challenging game. At the end of the day, it's still going to be a challenging game. There's still going to be some very brutal, rather, not crucial, but brutal encounters and fights. And you're gonna die a lot. I mean, just in my, you know, exploring the world and farming runes, I've died a lot. You know, even the easier enemies, if they get the jump on you, you're basically done. You're destroyed. They're gonna rip your face to shreds. It's pretty brutal. But the point being is, I think it's more welcoming because of the open world. You can kind of go wherever you want. So if one area is a little bit too difficult, then go somewhere else. You know, explore, maybe get some, you know, find some new weapons, find some materials, resources to upgrade your weapons, or, you know, the spirit summons that are new to the series in this game. And, you know, you can upgrade those as well, make them a little bit more powerful. There's a few different ways to kind of go about it to kind of, you know, better prepare yourself for your adventure. The other thing is the horseback riding, right? The fact you can ride a horse around obviously makes it easier to traverse around the world, but also with certain fights, I noticed fighting certain enemies, it also makes it easier to fight because you can just kind of, you know, gallop past an enemy and slash them, and that makes it a little bit easier. Some fights, it makes it a little bit harder. In not every encounter you can use the horse, but it is a mechanic that gives you another way to encounter fights and whatnot, which I think is really good, especially for, like I said, newcomers that, you know, it might actually make certain fights a little bit easier. I definitely heard some friends say they took on certain bosses and they said, hey man, whenever you get to this boss, make sure you use the horse, because it's definitely, you know, it's a lot easier to fight this boss with a horse. So I think that's a great mechanic. And here's the thing, right? It makes it more welcoming to newcomers, but at the same time, there's still that element for veterans, you know, that's the challenging kind of Souls formula that, you know, they've come to love. There's no easy mode per se, but again, it makes it a little bit more open for more people to actually, you know, come into this world and into this game. Obviously, there's still some people that wish there would be an easy mode. You know, there's a little bit of a debate behind that. We're not going to get too much into that because that could be a whole other video. But the point being, there's the horse riding, right? And then there's other elements as well, right? I think that the flasks for healing is also another one. You can allocate your flasks. So you can have, I mean, if you're not really using FP much, which is basically your mana, then what you could do is you can allocate some of your FP flasks into basically healing flasks. So let's say you have like 3 flasks available to you. Instead of having 2 healing and 1, you know, for FP, you can put 3 healing if you'd like to. The other thing is, as you collect these things called the golden seeds, you can actually basically add flasks to your inventory, and you could have more, and you could actually buff them up with these other things called, I think they're like something tears, seeds. No, I forget what they're called. Something tears. Anyways, and so the flasks I think are good because one of the things of Demon Souls is that I was like, well, how do I get more heals, right? And you have to go basically farm for heals, which are basically grass. What is it called? Something grass. I can't remember. Anyways, and so you have to basically farm for them. But in Elden Ring, you have these flasks that replenish every time you visit a site of grace, which are basically checkpoints and fast travel spots, and that makes it really, really, you know, accessible, at least in my opinion, at least a little bit more forgiving for some players, especially like myself, that you know that you have those flasks available. You can get more of them, you know, if you find these golden seeds, and of course you can replenish them anytime at sites of grace. Sites of grace is another thing, right? Easy. There's lots of them. Not too many, obviously, but there's a good amount scattered across the world, and these again act as fast travel locations, or points rather, that you can just, you know, easily kind of fast travel between, and places where you can just go to rest up, you know, heal up your character, replenish your flasks automatically, and different things like that. So I think that element too makes it a little bit more welcoming to newcomers and whatnot. So I mean, at the end of the day, I think the game is just really, really impressive so far. I understand why it has a perfect score of 10 out of 10 from a lot of you know, outlets and whatnot, game outlets and journalists and reviewers, because it's a fantastic game. Is it the best game ever made? I mean, that's subjective, right? I think the game is probably a perfect 10 out of 10, even though I haven't finished it yet. I can completely understand why, but that doesn't mean it's going to be everybody's favorite game, and it doesn't even mean that it's going to be a game for every single person either, and that's fine. A game could still be a perfect 10 out of 10 masterpiece of a game, and it may not be for everybody, and again, it may not be everybody's, you know, favorite game of all time, but it can still be, you know, a perfect score kind of game. And I think so far, you know, what I've experienced, I would see 100% like this is a 10 out of 10 game. Again, I have to still experience the rest to really, you know, give a concrete kind of score myself. But I understand it. So again, at the end of the day, if you're on the fence, if you're interested in this game, then I think it's definitely, you know, more welcoming for newcomers than previous entries. If you're kind of, you know, maybe not into games that are challenging, that, you know, you're going to die a lot, then maybe this isn't the game for you, because you are still going to die a lot. There's going to be challenges, but that's kind of part of the fun, right? Is the rewarding feeling that you feel when you actually defeat a boss or an enemy that you've been stuck on, even if it means, you know, going and doing something else for a while, beefing up your character, and then coming back later on and seeing, okay, now can I do it? And then you see, oh, I did it. And, you know, this kind of feels really rewarding. So I'm really excited to continue and actually, you know, dive through the rest of the game, because I haven't gotten very far, you know, at least story wise. Again, I've just basically been exploring and beefing up my character a bit, but it's a really fun game in my opinion. You just got to know, you know, the basics. If you can learn the basics, kind of like, you know, obviously removing certain pieces of gear so you don't have a heavy load, which you can see in your inventory, and making sure that you have more of a medium load so you can roll a little bit faster, little things like that. There's actually some, you know, great beginners guides out there on YouTube as well that will really help you out starting if you are new like me, and you know, trying to understand the basics of the game and whatnot. So anyways, all that to say, first impressions, it's great. It's a lot of fun. The world is huge. I've seen some screenshots that people posted of some areas that I have not obviously yet seen, and they look very magical. I'm a huge fan of the fantasy genre. I love fantasy movies and stories. I just love that. My favorite series of all time is Chronicles of the Narnia. So Chronicles of Narnia is just, you know, very fantasy based, and, you know, obviously other, you know, kind of stories like Harry Potter and things like that. So this is right up my alley, and that's why, you know, I'm willing to go through the brutality of the challenging factors behind it. And I understand that that's part of the appeal, right, of the game, is feeling accomplished when you finally defeat one of those bosses that you're just like, man, I don't know how to do this, and then you figure it out, you find a way, and you just feel super triumphant, if you will. So I'll leave it at that. Let me know what you guys think so far. Are you new to the series? Are you on the fence? Have you actually played it? And if you have played it, is it, you know, not your first Souls kind of game? Are you, you know, very familiar with the series, or are you new kind of like me? Where do you stand? Let me know in the comments. And I will ask one more thing at the end of this video. Longsword or twin blade? Someone who is well versed in this game, please tell me, because I'm torn on which one to upgrade. I have the twin blade and I have the longsword, and I don't know which one to focus on, and I have a bunch of smithing stones, and I don't know which one to upgrade. Anyways, if you guys want to see my full playthrough, I'll be streaming it over here on the channel, so keep it locked. If you enjoyed this one, be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and drop a like on this video so more people can see it. It really helps out the channel. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, stay well, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Till then, game on.